are at Balthazar, and I am here with Lee Schrager, the author of the new book, America's Best Breakfast, which we're sitting in one of the places for America's Best Breakfast.
The quintessential New York hangout for great breakfast, Balthazar.
So what's the idea behind the book?
Well, I think that, we just found that breakfast was kind of the underrated meal of the day, when it's really the most important meal of the day for a lot of reasons that's been proven. But more importantly, everybody has a favorite breakfast item. For dinner, people like Italian food, they like steakhouse, they like roast chicken. For breakfast, everyone's so particular. You can ask everyone in Balthazar. Somebody likes this vol au vent, somebody likes fresh granola, a bread basket, scrambled eggs, hard-boiled eggs, poached eggs. Everybody, pancakes, waffles, granola. Our fascination with breakfast in general is that you can eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or late night when you're crawling in after a late night at the club.
Right. And so with the book, you traveled across the country because breakfast is obviously not just here in New York, but all over the country. And you found some of the country's best restaurants. What did you find was different in every part of the country for breakfast?
But what I found about breakfast is that kind of the more to the middle of the country you got, the heartier the breakfast got. As you're on the coast, it tended to be lighter and maybe a little healthier. And as you moved in, it got heartier. In Washington, D.C. and New York, they were kind of more power breakfasts. A great chapter of our book is at the Regency, which is the home of Jonathan Tish's, power breakfast.
And so for people who want to serve a breakfast, I think one of the hardest things is, with a dinner, it's like, okay, you have a protein, you have vegetables. With breakfast, it's kind of a free-for-all. So how do you recommend setting up a breakfast if you want to host people?
Well, if I host a breakfast, which I often do, I love breakfast, or actually I guess it would be more brunch. We had granola because everyone likes granola. I love yogurt. I love fresh berries rather than mixed fruit. I love to focus on berries. I just love the size and the color of the berries. I love a fresh bakery basket like we're having here at Balthazar. So whether it's a schnecken or donuts or great breads or the croissant. I love quiche, an egg dish, probably a scrambled egg is not, I love a scramble. In the book, one of my favorite recipes is my mom's German breakfast, which is basically a breakfast scramble, and then fresh fruit juices. You do that, great coffee, and I think you have a great breakfast.
One of the great things about breakfast is you can serve some things at room temperature, some things can be hot. I mean, is that also one of the hallmarks of a good breakfast? Like not trying to do too much, like on, serving everything hot?
Well, I think that's one of the hallmarks of entertaining in general. I think really, when you do a dinner and it's all hot, you're always in the kitchen. There's no time to be out there and enjoy. If you're cooking it and serving it yourself, like most of us are, I tend to always have a combination. I tend to start cold and end cold. It allows me to sit down at the table, enjoy my guests and talking, then get up and, carving the beef or serving the cassoulet, whatever I might be doing. I always have an equal mixture. You could get away with doing an all-cold breakfast, and no one would know the difference. You can do granola, you can do fruit, you can do
smoked salmon,
a smoked salmon, bagels with different schmears, a bunch of different fish at breakfast, and really get away. And even a quiche at room temperature. You bake a quiche, you take it out of the oven at 9 a.m. At 11:30, that's still moist and delicious inside. So you can really do breakfast and not have to run back and forth to the oven.
You have some things that are very simple, and then you have some things like making your own donuts and things that are much more complicated. So what do you think people should try and tackle if they're like, okay, I want to make like a really exciting, really different breakfast item? What are some of the recipes you lean towards?
I think the granola recipe is incredibly easy. My mom's recipe, which is German breakfast, is incredibly easy. This vol au vent that we're having here at Balthazar is incredibly easy. Pancakes, I don't know why people think they're complicated. They're not. Waffles, you have a waffle maker. I mean, they're inexpensive.
What are some of the recipes that surprised you that you thought like, oh, I can't make this at home, but then were actually a lot simpler than what you expected?
I think that a lot of us keep to our comfort level. How often do we try new things? I think the Filipino steak was something really unique when we tried that. I was a little surprised about it, but incredibly popular. Shrimp and grits, easy to make. I don't know that people necessarily think of it unless you're from the South.
I was going to say, unless you're from Charleston,
like you,
and
from
you
Charleston,
love that
hominy,
recipe.
And who doesn't? I mean, that's one of my favorite recipes. Some of the taco recipes, the breakfast taquita, delicious. I don't know that you would automatically think about that for breakfast.
Well, Lee, thank you so much for joining us here at Balthazar with this amazing breakfast in front of us. And the book is America's Best Breakfast. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. This looks good anytime.
And the beauty of breakfast, you can wear your bathrobe and not feel guilty eating a meal.
I mean, I'll take it. Thank you so much.